This episode of the Digital Desperados podcast is brought to you by SaferNet VPN, found online at safernet.com.
Welcome to the Digital Desperados podcast featuring dark tales from the web. Patrick McMurphy back with us today to tell us another dark tale, and he's joined by Brad Hawkins, founder and superhero of SaferNet VPN. I'm Jim Brangenberg, and I'll serve as your story guide and ringleader. And remember, this podcast brought to you by SaferNet, online at safernet.com. You know, any more going online can be scary. Every time you click a link, you don't know where it's really going to go. Join the mission to stay secure online with SaferNet. Perfect for small to medium-sized businesses. Our cybersecurity app provides VPN, internet controls, virus protection, and 84 web filters keeping distractions far away. Get secured now online at safernet.com. That's safernet.com. All right, Patrick. The last dark tale was like a dark tale with a love story and all this stuff wrapped in. Who do you got for us today?
Well, today, Jim, we have a kind of different character. It's Hieu Minh Ngo, aka Hieu PC. And so Hieu is an interesting character, and I actually really like this guy because, yes, he is an incredibly dangerous hacker, but he's kind of just, and he's very intelligent when it comes to hacking, but he doesn't really seem to have a lot of common sense when it comes to like the law and right and wrong. But so he's kind of like a super intelligent child, effectively in a lot of ways. So I have a lot of time for Hieu. But Hieu's born in Gia Lai in Vietnam on October 8th, 1989. So it was actually recently his birthday. So happy birthday, Hieu. So growing up, his parents own a small electronics store. He gets his first computer when he's 13, and by age 14, he was kind of dipping his toe into the world of hacking. And this was because, it was at that time, and I remember this growing up, when I was 14, there was a lot of internet cafes everywhere, and you meet all kinds of people in them. But there was actually a man who would basically explain what hacking was and why one would hack. And so to quote Hieu on this, he said, "It was so cool. You can crack into a system, you can get information. It's kind of like you have power to control the world." And so when I said he's like a very smart child, this is what I'm talking about. I love this guy. But this became his MO for later on in life. He used a combination of techniques like phishing or exploiting weak security measures to get credentials. And weak security measures, I'm talking, and this is early 2000s, but this is still an ongoing thing today. No one has security. They're like, oh, I will never get hacked. And then Hieu is hacking you. He's taking the personal information. He's taking the credit cards because to him, it's kind of fun. But yeah, again, just kind of looking for these bad structures and phishing. They're his number one entry points. In his late teens, he travels to New Zealand to study English at a university there. He, at the time already, had got enough credibility on these kind of dark web hacker forums that he was an administrator of a few of them. And between his studies, he basically discovered a lot of vulnerabilities in the school's network that would explode a lot of payment card data. So he contacts the IT technician, tells him to fix it, and nothing happens. So then he's like, okay, no one actually seems to care about cybersecurity, even if you tell them. So he's like, I wonder how can I exploit this? So Hieu just goes on this rampage and starts hacking many websites with phishing and bad security and starts stealing a lot of credit card information. And so he kind of had a fun way to make money out of this. He would use the card data to buy concert tickets from like things like Ticketmaster. And there was a New Zealand auction website called Trade Me, and he would just sell. He would basically do price gouging for concert tickets that he bought with the stolen credit cards. So, I mean, you can imagine like a married couple and like, honey, why do you have, these Taylor Swift tickets on your, and she's like, no, I didn't buy them. And I'm like, you must have, but it was actually Hieu the whole time. So,
how excited was she, right?
Yeah, exactly. But, this kind of started because he was looking around his university network a lot, and the university learned that he had actually broken into the network, and they managed to get the Auckland police involved. So he did not get his travel visa renewed, as you can imagine.
So I had to step back. I totally missed this guy. So we got a Vietnamese guy from New Zealand. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, so that makes total sense. Okay. All right.
Oh yeah, he's gone into New Zealand at this point.
Yeah.
He was on a travel visa learning
got it.
English.
Okay. I was just trying to figure out how he got across the ocean. Okay. All right.
A lot of boats in Vietnam, but so Hieu, he's basically kicked out of the country at this point. They can't renew his visa, and so kind of foolishly he was like, I'm going to get back to university and they're never going to know it's me. They obviously knew, but he takes down the entire university network for 2 days. But he's back in Vietnam. They can't do anything squat about this at this point about what he just did. And he's taking classes again, but he spends most of his time in cybercrime forums. And so
Patrick, do you know how he took down the university? I mean, was it ransomware?
Poor security. Most of the thing. It's either phishing or poor security. But this is how he started, because he noticed that people just ignore cybersecurity. You might start this big website. This is great. This is for a university. Oh, we'll just not spend money on cybersecurity, and bang, it's gone. And this was early to mid 2000s. This is 20 years later, and this happens every day of the week. So nothing has changed. And so there's a quote he has about this time in his life. He said, my friend said doing credit cards and bank information is very dangerous. So I started thinking about selling identities. At first I thought, well, it's just information. Maybe it's not bad. It's not related to bank accounts. However, I was wrong. And the money I started making very fast just blinded me to a lot of things. So Hieu, to thinking that he's getting a bit more innocent, veers into identity theft, right? Not a good thing, right? And so to this day, so identity theft, one of the key currencies in identity theft is personal, it's PII, it's basically personal information. These are massive, like when you talk about you're buying things, in person, you're paying dollars, but on the dark web, it's PII is the currency. These are often, if you often see hospitals getting hacked, that's like hacking into a bank.
Yeah, you find out whether you had your appendix removed. I mean, all that personal information. They're big toes, they got ugly feet, that kind of stuff. You wouldn't live in a metropolitan area like, let's say, I don't know, Springfield, Missouri, or, without a home security system. Okay, maybe you'd live in Springfield without one, but maybe you wouldn't live in the south side of Chicago or Detroit or New York City without a home security system. So why would you explore the internet without internet protection? There's evil people out there all day long trying to steal your stuff. Discover SaferNet, your ultimate cybersecurity solution. Defend your workplace with ease. VPN, internet controls, virus protection, web filters. Get secured now so you don't have to worry about the bad guys. Online at safernet.com. That's safernet.com. We can handle small and medium companies. Brad, can we handle enterprise-sized companies?
We can handle any company that has an endpoint device. That's all there is to it.
Wow. There you go. Safernet.com. All right. So, Patrick, we got Hieu. He got back to Vietnam. He's thinking I'm going to go on the more pure side. Instead of stealing banking information, I'm just going to go identity theft.
Just only identity theft. And so he kind of makes a name for himself online here, because his first big target was a consumer credit reporting company in New Jersey. They were called Built. And I want to raise up something about Hieu here. So his first name, as you know, is Hieu. His hacking tag is Hieu PC. And so this guy kind of is, again, he's very intelligent, but he's living in this world where he's using his first name as his hacking handle also. I mean, this is the only guy we've had on the show that's done that. So it's, but he's actually very, very good at this. And by 2011, he launches his own store called superget.info, and it becomes this notorious marketplace. Basically, you can go online, you can purchase personal information, social security numbers, names, dates of births, addresses, everything. He had hacked into US-based data brokers like Lexis, Nexus, Dun and Bradstreet, basically getting unauthorized access into all these databases.
And those two have incredible databases of information. Oh, yeah. Wow.
So question for you, Patrick, on this. This is obviously, well, maybe it's not, but I'm assuming it's pre-crypto. So what are they using to purchase.
Well, it's 2011, so it is crypto. But this is the time when crypto was really just used by people buying either drugs or PII and things like that.
Okay. So they're starting the process of using crypto to buy this to be gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so he has all this access, and so he would sell identities from $1 to $10 per identity, and so he's basically allowing criminals to commit fraud on a massive scale here. So between 2007 2013, he had sold personal data to 1,300 criminals and fraudsters. So a lot of people involved in various fraud scams. But he causes financial damage exceeding $65 million. And so, as you can imagine, people are buying these identities. They're using it for the credit card fraud, securing loans that they probably should not be getting. And he's basically taking millions of Americans' information and just selling it. So at this point, the US Secret Service are like, Hieu is not a good guy. So he becomes a big target here.
Wait, it goes right to the Secret Service? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Did he hack the president? I mean, why is the FBI or the DOJ? I mean, he goes right to Secret Service. What's the deal?
Yeah, I mean, he must have got, from all these databases, he must have got just a couple of people who are well connected, their information, then sold them on. And so that's, it could become a pretty big threat here. So yeah, they get involved. Now, so again, good hacker, smart guy, doesn't really conceal his tracks. Again, first name in his hacker name, things like that. So federal agents managed to track him down pretty quickly. Just they traced various transactions. Things aren't even in hashes at this point. I love the guy. I love Hieu. Okay, but so 2013, Hieu takes a vacation to Guam. I don't think he figures out that it's a US territory, but he gets arrested and gets extradited immediately to the US. But okay, so I mean, the judge sees Hieu and he's like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do with this guy. And Hugh's like, what? He's just confused at this point. So he ends up cooperating with the US government. He basically provides the US government with all this information about these cybercriminal networks that he used to be involved with. He just pleads guilty to wire fraud, identity theft. He gets sentenced to 13 years in federal prison in 2015. Again, because there was a lot of financial losses here. And it was around $65 million that it caused. However, he's cooperating so much with the authorities that after 4 years, he gets released. Now, unfortunately, they say, Hieu, we love you, but please go back to Vietnam. So he takes a new path when he goes back to Vietnam.
So let's take a break there. So he goes to prison for 13 years, gets out after 4, and they say, but please, we don't like you. Please go home to Vietnam.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that always works out so well when we send people back home. All right. Every time you go online, your heart and soul are under attack. Secure your computer with SaferNet. Simplified cybersecurity for businesses and organizations with VPN, internet controls, 84 website filters, really an all-inclusive superpower for your computer to keep evil people from getting you to do stupid things with your computer. Check it out online at safernet.com. That's safernet.com. Now, Brad, I know
Jim,
go ahead.
I was going to say one of the interesting things about Hieu is that he takes advantage of people's lazy cybersecurity. So you got these companies or these schools for the case that we're looking at, but you got all these different opportunities that are just people don't know what to do with their cybersecurity. It's a mystery to most people, and that's one of the great advantages that I see that SaferNet does is that we are a 24/7 always on cybersecurity. You don't turn us off. It always stays on. So if a company wants to heighten their cybersecurity protection, you set up SaferNet, and you can then go lazy. You can turn your brain off. You don't even have to worry about it, as long as all your employees has SaferNet on their device, their phone or their laptop or their desktop or whatever it is that they have as an endpoint device. They can maintain a cybersecurity even when their employees are being lazy.
Yeah, it's a great piece of software. Get it on all your devices. SaferNet.com. All right. Hieu was released from the prison early, and they encouraged him to take a new vacation going back to Vietnam, but don't stop by Guam on your way. All right. Then becomes a pastor in a local church.
Almost. So he gets approached by the Vietnamese government because they basically say, Hieu, we don't really know what cybersecurity is, and we have massive problems with it. And so he starts using his knowledge of the dark web and just the criminal underground to combat cybercrime, not just in Vietnam, but across Southeast Asia. Hieu says he wants to use his skills for good. Obviously, some time in prison said, okay, you actually can't do X, Y, and Z. But so he's helping authorities how to dismantle all these cybercrime operations. He turns a lot of, between 2020 and 2022, he focuses a lot on these kind of large-scale scam operations, and especially human trafficking networks across Cambodia and Vietnam. And especially because how he understood how scams worked, he was able to find things like, there'd be these employers who will say post a job listing to someone who's, vulnerable, and they basically scam them into working for them for like slave wages, things like that. And he talks a lot publicly about this even today, how, there's these things like phishing scams, romance scams, kind of work scams, and human trafficking scams that are just all fueled by this dark web activity. And so he has pointed out a lot that these days, a lot of these big things, it's nearly all gone into phishing scams or cryptocurrency fraud. But yeah, I mean, these days he's using his knowledge to track down these people, get them actually arrested. And his story kind of shifts from being actually a very skilled cyber criminal who just kind of moral compass was a little bit off kilter. It's just a small bit. But now, he's this rehabilitated figure, and he's he's saving people not only in human trafficking, but people caught in scams across Asia. So to me, this is why now why I love Hieu. He's fantastic.
So did Hieu get to keep all that money he made off of his identity theft program?
No, sadly.
we don't really know where the money went, and we don't know about his family, but he made sure that his kid, who's now 15, doesn't have a computer. Yeah. I mean, just seriously. I mean, these guys, I mean, I'm glad that he's using his skills for good today.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you're a criminal and you're violating things against the United States, we have 7 territories. Guam is just one of them. You might want to consider that before you go on vacation. You heard it here. The internet and everything digital can have a dark side with many dark players. That's why you need SaferNet by your side with our VPN, antivirus, web filters, so much more. Thanks to SaferNet for supporting our efforts to bring these stories to your ears and give them the exposure that they need. For your own security and the security of those you love and those you work with, check out SaferNet.com and get secured today. Till next time, click only on the attachments, the links, and the pictures you trust from those you trust, and delete the rest, or you may become the next victim of a digital desperado.
This episode of the Digital Desperados podcast is brought to you by SaferNet VPN, found online at SaferNet.com. World War III started on your computer when Al Gore unleashed the internet in 1994. Want to fortify your business against cyber attacks? SaferNet VPN is the answer. Our easy-to-use cybersecurity app protects your enterprise on all fronts. Plus, secure your family's online journey with powerful internet filters. Embrace simple yet robust cybersecurity with SaferNet VPN now. Get secured now. Sign up at SaferNet.com. That's SaferNet.com.